Hello everyone, my name is Kristian Lander. I'm the producer and host of Our Curious World, and I come to you today with honesty in my heart and a confession to make in the conversation that I had with Loui Jay Coleman on the concepts around digital immortality, the idea of humans and machines merging together, and all the ways that can happen, and a conversation that is thoroughly interesting. The confession is that in the opening few minutes, I'm aware there's a bit of sound feedback that has happened between the microphone and the speaker that makes perhaps the first couple of minutes not so easy to listen to. I'm aware of this. I apologise that it happened, and please enjoy what is a interesting and thought-provoking conversation. I think how we tapped each other up was I sent a tweet out talking about digital immortality, and you replied, and I learned about your website, that is Generation Byte. I mean, you have a pretty comprehensive website here, and that really impressed me. And particularly when I learned about your age, I was like, this guy has actually done a considerable amount of thinking and writing. So what got you along this thought track, man?
Well, there are two things to this. First of all, Elon Musk's company Neuralink. The fact that you could have at some point a neural lace that interfaces directly between machines and like your brain to reach like super intelligence, like that was just an amazing idea. And secondly, the big push was actually the Black Mirror series. The whole like out of the box thinking by Charles Brooker. It's just a brilliant series.
It is, yeah.
It really made me think about it.
Because I really, the one thing I like about Black Mirror is I was a really big fan growing up with the original Twilight Zone series. So I kind of grew up kind of with those kind of shows always in mind, like the Twilight Zone and the Outer Limits, the kind of quirky story that has a moral tale to it. And when I saw Black Mirror, this talks to me even more because it talks about technology that it's so close, it's almost here. And that near future, it isn't always dystopian, but the twist on it is a very real twist. It can almost happen and almost go wrong because that's the way the human world works. And I think that's why Black Mirror works, because we know humans don't like to have things go wrong.
Yeah, that's one big aspect of it. If governments don't like regulate, which at the current pace they'll leave it later and later, there's high potential for democracy to be entirely ruined. Like we're very fucked, essentially.
I like how you said
if they don't do anything.
It's true. Is it because technology is outpacing our ability to understand what it is we're coming up with? Do you think that's what it is?
In part, but even like episodes like Be Right Back, where you have someone who dies in a car crash and then is essentially like his social records, his private records are all analysed, and he's put into a body that looks like him. You could have something like that, where say someone dies, they like no one knows they've died. They could be analysed and have like a fake version of them in a fake body, and then that body goes on controlled by some like mastermind who's not known.
I mean, I guess that what would terrify some people is that perhaps they might be digital versions of the loved ones. They're walking around and doing all their real life things, but perhaps the loved ones have no idea that it is a replicant or a duplicate of some kind.
Yeah.
It makes people feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's up to now everything has been in like good faith, but there's no technological reason why someone couldn't hack someone's like WhatsApp, Skype, whatever, any kind of calls, and create a digital profile of them that is almost indistinguishable from the real version.
You're absolutely right. I mean, you see, say on Facebook, that's quite a very common problem, isn't it? Where it's very easy to copy someone's profile because if they've got it listed as public, they can just copy all those posts down or that profile picture and create a duplicate. That's a very surface level example. But I guess when you're talking about a very personal, identity of someone, and I guess as we move now towards more Neuralink stuff, where people can actually upload their entire brain to the cloud, as it were, or certainly a memory imprint upload. Perhaps someone could download that and then manipulate it and send it back to the original user. I mean, I don't know how far that technology is along the lines at the moment.
Yeah, no. Assuming that brain uploading is possible, which we don't know if it is or not yet. If there was some security breach and suddenly you had access to like 10% of the digital population, you could delete that, you could manipulate that, you could edit it in whatever way, and people wouldn't necessarily know about it or be able to act.
I think also as people commit more and more to the cloud, I mean, you might find that everything from like your driving license to your bank details to your everything you own potentially could be on a database. Although that database right now is still it's scattered. It's not quite all together, but there's no reason why it can't be. Perhaps it's just legislation keeping it apart.
Yeah, like the legislation is the only thing that's keeping us from like complete devastation. And if we are to continue in the rate which we do, which, like, by the way, that as it stands with technology, like in recent times, we have the catastrophic thing happening before the regulations.
Yes.
If this happens with digital immortality, it could be like a massive disaster on a scale we've not yet seen.
Because I still don't think people have actually caught up with what technology can do. I mean, we're pretty much always permanently connected to our smartphone, aren't we? And it contains our entire life, our contacts list if you keep it up to date, everything and everyone we connect to, and social media. I mean, social media literally is almost online identity now, as well before it was just Now it's everything. We post everything from our dinner to where we go, and I think the way that Google works really interestingly, and where how Google Maps tracks traffic. Of course, it's how fast its mobiles are travelling and the speed of traffic lines. So when you go on Google Maps, you can see where to avoid traffic because those mobiles in that area are travelling faster or slower. And that's pretty amazing.
It's crazy. Like even things like receipts through Gmail, like they are recording that data, and not like very few people know about that. They know like exactly what you've purchased, when, what your interests are. They probably know stuff about you that you don't even know yourself. That's like very scary to think about.
It says the patterns that we perhaps do on a day, perhaps just going to and from work, is being recorded. Where we go shopping the most frequently, whether it be online or in person, we're always taking our phone with us. We're always taking a bank card with us. So perhaps the only way to stay off the grid is to just use cash, which of course we're being incentivized not to.
Yeah, the problem is that like staying off the grid, staying anonymous online, it's just not taught like anywhere apart from like videos. If you search up like to find them, they are there, but it's just really the information is not out there.
It's true.
Like people don't know what these companies are, like the information they are gathering about us, so they don't do anything about it.
No. So, dude, digital immortality then. So, how would it be possible? We're talking about, say, neural link. So what is the possibilities of neural link? Because I guess I'll pretend to be devil's advocate and pretend I don't really know much about it, so you can explain a bit more. So if you were to explain to a layperson, what would that mean?
Well, with Neuralink, it's going to be a I'll just get it up here. I think it's going to be a mesh that you put on the brain, and that can connect to your like smart devices, your house, your car, like whatever. As for actual digital immortality, there are two main types. One, you can have AI look through all your records and create a digital profile of you that it thinks it thinks it's acting how you would act. The other option, which is more what I talk about on Generation Byte, is actually having something scan your brain and then like create a 3D digital map of that, which can be translated into like circuitry or memory and all of that for a digital form. And then through both ways, you could live on the cloud. Like there's no reason why you'd have to live in the real world. But personally, I think living as a robot is more accurate to digital immortality.
Yeah, because it's like how to extend your life, or how to extend something about your essence beyond your physical life, isn't it? And I guess if you could leave a brain scan or a profile or a map of identity of who you were and are, because I said to a colleague the other day about what about the idea of living beyond your physical life, physical death? And the first response they had was a very spiritual one. I don't know why I didn't think about it. They said, well, if my spirit's going off one way and doing one thing in the ethereal world, yeah, I've now got a digital duplicate doing its own thing. Isn't that somehow just messing with the laws of everything that should be moral and ethical?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because all these religions, they promise the afterlife or the metaphysical immortality, whereas this would be a true secular immortality. You would live forever in this world.
And I suppose you make an interesting point there, is that you know that you would exist after life. As opposed to, going to church or going to mosque or doing all the things you've got to do to guarantee your potential in an ethereal afterlife, which somebody told you in a book thousands of years ago. This is, well, the technology is here, you can do this.
Yeah.
Do you think there would be a time then because I think when I read your first blog post, on your website, actually, it says to read your first overview post, and I did do that, and I was like, it mentions that you perhaps would have to destroy it would destroy the brain or destroy the scan.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that, because is that to basically create a stop point of when the original one existed, and that then continues? Is that how you meant that?
Yeah, because I think that the way I envisioned it, which might not be what actually happens, I have no idea, I'm not a neuroscientist at all, is you have something actually picking apart and scanning through each individual neuron in the brain, and that process would probably cause irreparable damage to the biological version of the brain. But also at the same time, I don't know if you'd want to keep your biological self. I don't personally, I wouldn't want to have two versions of me that think they are me. I'd rather have just one version.
I think that's been dabbled to in Star Trek Next Generation, wasn't it? I think one of the characters, he transported down to a planet, there was a problem, and somehow his life got split into two. One stayed on the planet, one went off to the Enterprise and did its own thing. 30 years later, they appeared to meet back up with each other, having both now had a life, and it's like, this is awkward. Because one's had a very different life to what we now know as the main character was. Is it?
Yeah.
With a digital version, I think I'd agree with you. If you were to do that, you would perhaps need to, once the scan is done, that would have to be it. Because it potentially would be.
Yeah, and that aspect of identity, I think the system, the governmental finance business system, is built on the idea of the individual, and as soon as you create something that is two of an individual or three of an individual, the system collapses. If I wanted to withdraw 50 quid from my bank account, but there were 7 people claiming that that's their bank account, legitimately, because it is different versions of me.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't work.
That's an interesting thought, actually. So more people, because like you said, legitimately it's their money as well, but who physically has the cash? Yeah. That's an interesting idea. So I think Black Mirror has been quite the inspiration for you. I mean, when you first saw that episode, how did it make you think? Was that the catalyst to help you start writing Generation
Byte? Essentially, yeah. I actually started on season 4 because I didn't realise what was happening. It was USS Callister, which is one of the ones where it is true brain uploading.
It is, yes.
Yeah, and that's the gaming aspect, and from that I thought, well, clearly what they've shown is that if you can upload your brain, essentially any game that you want, you can do. It's fully simulated reality, which in my mind is the end point for gaming software.
Yeah.
We've tried. We started off with physical games like chess or drafts and all that, And then as we've progressed, we've had like, digital games, we've had mobile games, virtual reality, bring it closer and closer to ourselves.
Yes.
This would be like within ourselves, essentially.
Yeah.
It'd be like internal native software gaming.
And that's a really interesting way to put it, is internal software, because I guess you'd have to, you would see it through your own mind, really, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I guess, again, the Star Trek thing example, I guess, is the holodeck, where you physically are touching things through force fields and stuff. But, you know, you're actually talking about a fully immersive environment where, what I think, like in the Matrix, of course, there's the example where Morpheus gives that all sensory input is actually just due to electrical impulses in the brain. So everything you see, touch, and smell actually can be completely replicated. And he's absolutely right. And that is... And can we do that? I think the answer is
yes. Yeah. As if everything is... if we are living as a robot and everything we see is formatted, camera vision, thermometer, you have GPS location, all of these sensors, everything that you would need to essentially get around, you already know how to program that to interact with the brain. So then you can also add artificial inputs, which is where you get into augmented reality, virtual reality, and fully simulated reality. Like you could be in a game and you could have a sense of the temperature. If you went into a really hot area, you could suddenly feel really hot. Yeah. And that's something that you can't do right now, even like with like haptic suits and all of that, like that kind of thing.
You can't do the lava level in Mario, though, can you? So that would be kind of like looking down and obviously.
Well, you might have to turn that on.
Yeah. Oh man, because I actually was there's a particular episode of Black Mirror where it talks. Well, actually, it's two distinct female characters who fall in love with each other in an AR reality, and they.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I thought it was a really profound episode. How perhaps the way that it would be implemented in the future, or potentially as an idea, is actually in end of life care, to upload someone or to have them in a simulated environment where they can go out and get drunk, or they can go to the pub or the nightclub, whatever, and they can have a new avatar, meeting other avatars, much the same way we do VR chat today. But of course, they fall in love, and that particular character, and obviously never met in real life.
Yeah, that's like another frontier for it, is actually not just gaming, but social interactions, like sexuality, sex, and all of that. Like everything that we experience as humans can be simulated better as a digital being.
Yeah, and I guess
like that. Yeah, I particularly like that episode because like at the end where they show you like how they've done it, that to me is probably most accurate to how it would be done. How they've got the small thing in a database.
Yes.
If you are going to live entirely in the simulated world, you probably would just have like a small device storing like essentially you in just this massive warehouse of everyone else. So yeah.
Absolutely. And do you think it's a scary prospect for people to consider that is so close?
Well, I'm not sure if it's so close. The closest that people reckon it could be that I've seen online is about 2045, which is like going to be the date of the AI singularity. But the fact that it's even within this century, if you're looking on the scale of like all of human history, that is actually very close. Like potentially you and I could upload our brains, and then we could live forever. It could be like the oldest like humans in like 1,000 years. We could live for 1,000,000 years.
I'd still exist here, yeah. Or then enter perhaps a physical avatar, like the film Surrogates, where you then have a character who walks around, looks like a younger version of yourself, maybe.
Yeah.
Or you don't even have to be human shape. You could be like, I think like you actually posted on you could have 6 legs, and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Like,
and that
you could even be a car or something. Like there's no, as long as you have a format of how to get around, and you can do that with AI. You can technically beat that. There's no reason to stick to humanoid shapes.
And I think that's actually where, in the conversations I've had over the last couple of weeks, is where the conversation always geared towards identity in regards to, say, how it is currently, where we're going through a bit of a trans revolution. Lots of people are, they're varying their sexuality, they're varying their gender, and how does that play into with technology adding an extra level to that spectrum?
Yeah.
And I actually find it quite profound.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the a common internet meme. I identify as a Apache helicopter.
Absolutely, that guy's.
You literally could. There's no reason why not to. I mean, it'd be a bit weird. It'd be pretty cool, but I mean, you could.
Yeah, because I guess if you could identify yourself as like an Apache helicopter, but you could literally live as in the VR world, so in the simulated world, or even in you upload yourself to an avatar. You can literally live your life as the unicorn that you've always wanted it to be, or you could be that hybrid of an animal. Like the horse is quite a popular one. There's centaur stuff, and I can imagine that in the VR, in the hypersensory reality that could be, that all that kind of the sexuality of that would perhaps exist, where people perhaps there's a rhino and one's a horse or something. I guess the furry community would be up in arms about this. They'd love it.
Yeah. But I mean, if you carry on with this, I don't even see the point in defining sexuality. If you can just be interested in whatever and have that be available to you like instantly,
yeah,
you could just like ask your brain to simulate you with like whatever, like some fit actress, some like weird animal, anything you wanted, it could happen.
Yeah, I guess that throws up more levels of ethical debate, doesn't it?
Yes.
I guess more people would be already exploring that before there's any legislation for it. Because the joke is there's always a porn for it. I think you put up there quite nicely. And it's actually true. I'm sure there's a porn of that because that might well be because someone's bound to do that.
Yeah.
But I guess with that, you might even create almost there be an underground black market for that kind of stuff. And the human mind is quite a disturbing place as it is for many people. So you can only imagine where that's going to go with some. But it's a fascinating idea to have. I mean, identity, we were talking about like how now you have trans athletes, of course, is a particular sticking point debate now where you have men who've transitioned to become women because they're women, they're competing in women's sports and just decimating world records and so on. I think this week there's actually been a weightlifter who's like lifted like 293 kilos, a female woman that will never... who's had XX as her genome, will never be able to reach that. Her body density is not strong enough. But with technology such as an avatar character or in the digital world, that opens up a whole new trans, conversation.
I mean, even if you were sticking to like biological humanoid shapes, it's not a like big surgery, big like hormones, all of that. It's literally just you take this component off, you put that component on.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted, you could have both. Like you could have like it sounds absurd, but you could have like boobs on your front, boobs on your back, boobs on your feet, whatever. It's absurd, but it's possible.
There are some people who would do it. Kim Kardashian would do it.
Yeah. I mean, you could even just have like a pleasure button. You just like press it. There you go. Like there's not even any reason to stick to like any of the biological organs.
No. But then that plays into the interesting point then. Would sex even be a necessity or a feeling or an emotion physically to have if you can do anything under thinking in your mind? If you have an integrated hive brain, would you even need that? I mean, I guess also that leads to the point of no more secrets. If everyone's brain is uploaded to the net, or there perhaps is no hidden memory or hidden idea or thought or feeling that's hidden from everybody else, and that opens up a whole new kettle of fish in itself.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Privacy is probably the one major holdback. If you are doing this by a company, so if like Google created it or Facebook created it, if you allowed them to upload your brain, they'd know everything about you, like your deepest secrets. That's like the one potential like holdback, which is why I think personally that it should be done by an international organization that doesn't look into your analytics unless if you specifically ask them to, like an opt-in,
Sure.
instead of like like the standard opt-out that we seem to be going to.
The privacy thing, I mean, it's scary enough now that how much you give away. I mean,
Yeah,
recently like, the GDPR came through, and so you go to some websites and before it goes, oh, press accept. And it's like, no, let me just check what I'm giving away, and then you realise there's this list of about 80 companies who are all taking analytics just the fact that you're visiting this website, and you're going, no, I'll just reject all and leave it alone.
yeah,
And then you realise you're actually almost restricting yourself from content because that's the way it works. That's the drawing.
yeah. I mean, like I've had to put that on my site. I don't know. I mean, I know Google has the analytics and all that, but like the data that I can look at, I can see someone's IP, their location, what they've looked at. I think I can even tell their age sometimes. Like it's, I'm not even trying to do any of this. This is just automatic. Like companies that are trying to do this, they know like pretty much stuff about you that you don't even know. Like I've got this joke that Mark Zuckerberg knows the size of your cock. They know everything.
It's quite likely. Has he hacked into my phone or my? And I've looked at it's all well known. But I still wonder though, what is the purpose of having so much data? Is it just to collect more and more about you? Because it almost doesn't seem practical to have so much about individuals.
Yeah, well, I mean, currently it's just for well, it used to be just for ads, and then you have scandals like Cambridge Analytica, where they're targeting you based on your political beliefs.
Yeah.
Or like Brexit was they overspent the budget, and that overspend reached 3 million people, which potentially moved the vote to the Leave side. And our system doesn't know how to deal with that. That's why we're going through with it, even though we know that it's highly likely there was electoral fraud. But like we didn't know that could even happen at the time.
No,
but the people in government did.
And I guess it's always like freak accidents that happen, and then that causes governments or policy to change and twist, or even just individuals' actions. I mean, I guess you see a story now, and based on perhaps on your history, that will be the kind of things that you see more often. So I don't know, maybe let's use an example of say a Black Lives Matter person. They might then see more adverts that are more geared towards those kind of things you see in the news. So they have then a skewed perspective because that's the news feed that they're seeing. Because they must see something everywhere, but they're not seeing what the opposite is, perhaps. And I guess that goes to anybody. That can be anybody for every interest, really. Maybe you're only seeing posts about Transformers or the latest movie only because that's what's being driven to you because that's what you are expected to like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big ethical dilemma, but it's sort of one that we haven't been able to regulate because the people in government don't understand.
No.
And if that continues, as you get with more, as we've gone progressively more into it, we've had things that are getting closer and closer to our personal selves, and the consequences have been seemingly getting worse and worse and worse, with action actually getting slower.
Yeah.
We'll have the Cambridge Analytica scandal before the action, which is just the wrong way about it. We should have the regulation first to stop any action.
The thing is, I guess it has to be understood, and they'll go, "Well, it's never going to happen," and then it does happen.
Yeah.
How would you? You got to plan for such measures, but if it's never gone live, as it were, how do you plan for what those contingencies are going to be? I mean, it's a huge nightmare for legislation in terms of logistically organising that. I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah. I mean, we get bogged down with current issues and current affairs and all that, whereas really we should be regulating neural lace technology, digital immortality now, well before anything happens, so we can have our thought experiment, see what would happen if we allow this. Oh, that could potentially cause devastation. Let's not allow that. Let's go back to this. Let's review that. So we have the robust system before the technology even becomes remotely possible.
Because I learned about, actually through your website, actually, I learned about Nectome, which is the promising to freeze brains of people cryogenically. And I guess the idea would be
Yeah,
when the technology comes along, they've paid enough money to then have that digital upload available, and then they can then live in their new future body or in some kind of digital status. And that kind of reminds me of the kind of the fad that happened certainly through the 80s, late 80s into 90s, where people had their bodies cryogenically frozen. I don't know how many of those companies are actually still operating. I don't know how big that market was, and now continues to be.
no, no, I don't really know how many people have taken up this idea because it's not. I mean, even now it seems at least decades away. Like I'd say that someone of my age probably has a 60% chance of being able to upload my brain, assuming technology does become possible at some point in this century.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's the environmental factors and all that first, and what's going to go on geopolitically in the world. I think if technology,
that is a problem.
keeps rolling at this point, yeah, like you said, 2045 seems about right, but I don't know how the world's going to cope with the challenges that are coming our way at the moment. So I was looking about the hope for the older generation. I guess we've touched on that, haven't we? The ways of combating aging. Yeah. What did I say? I made a particular note to actually talk about it. I think it was on your roadmap to immortality, I think. Yeah, I think it's about the biohacking, the RFID. I mean, some people really kind of get nervous when they hear that term RFID, the chip. But the fact that they probably have more than 40 or 50 around them already without them even realising.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Clocking card at work, is an RFID card. All our bank cards, when you're in contactless, there's an RFID in there. Do they talk to each other? I wonder. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who just put RFID chips into their hand, and like if they're going through the tube system or metro for other regions, they just don't need a card. They just put their hand on the thing and they go through. Or bank cards, they just have it in their hand, and that's like one thing that's getting closer to living in a digital body. Yeah. I think what we'll see is, until full digital immortality is possible, we'll invent technologies to bring ourselves closer and closer to that, sort of like cyborgs.
Yeah, I guess a cyborg, the kind of the cyberpunk era, the dystopian, what might exist. But I guess when you start integrating with technology, when you start having that the transhumanist, is transhumanist does that fit within the circle of digital immortality? Are they enough of the same of each other, or are they two distinct things, do you think?
I think the digital immortality idea is a subset of transhumanism, and transhumanism is a subset of futurism. Yeah. So I think if you believe in that, you probably are a transhumanist, but you don't have to be a transhumanist and believe in that, sort of, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. But do you think people want to survive after death? I
don't know if everyone will, but I mean, I do. People I've asked, about half do. Some are still like, oh no, that's weird. Yeah, but at the same time, give it like, I think it was 70 generations or something like that. Then if you assume 1% of the population adopts the technology, after 70 generations, you have the midpoint where you got 50% biological and 50% immortal. And I think the adoption curve will actually be a lot like Stephen. It's like an S curve with most technologies, where at the start it's very slow, and then it has a sudden kick upwards, and then you just get the very last 10% at the end, which takes a bit longer. But if you have one side where they are against it and they're mortal, and you have the other side immortal, even at the lowest adoption rate, eventually the immortal side always wins.
They live forever. They'll outbreed, and well, if they do breed. So what about the internal? What kind of software would it have to be? Because I guess it have to be a pretty interesting database in order to store that. I mean, do we have anything that's kind of close to that now? So I do hear about like Google's Deep Brain projects and their AI systems. I mean, the storage database must be pretty crazy. What are they, tech-wise?
Well, I don't know precisely how much you'd need or how much memory is in the brain, but one good analogy is general AI or like super intelligent AI. Most people agree that is like possible, and if that is possible to store, the storage for someone's brain should also be possible. I don't see why it wouldn't be.
No, you're absolutely right. I covered quite a few different subjects over the years, and one of the ones I came across was I believe it was the University of Edinburgh, and it kind of popped up as part of ASSAP. ASSAP is the Association for the Scientific Study of the Paranormal, of the anomalous phenomena stuff. And one of their studies, one of their science studies they covered was in regards to dreams and dream recording. And when I saw the mind map stuff of what they were trying to do, I was like, I've seen this technology before, and that's why I instantly clicked. I went to try and find that document. And unfortunately, I couldn't find it in their science journals. But what it is, it's a very similar system where you can upload dreams in much the same way. So it's like a mesh that sits over your head, mainly because it's picking up on different parts of your brain that are stimulated when you sleep. So it could be when you're thinking about, I don't know, drinking, or when you're thinking about jumping, you will have a certain sensory input that will go off in the brain. So in other words, you would create a map of someone's thought areas where they were doing something, and then you could ideally put that onto somebody else, and then they could, if they go to sleep, have the same experiences if they were fed in the same order. And I appeared to have some quite interesting results out of that. So when I saw the idea you could upload a neural lace and perhaps give that to somebody else, yeah, that doesn't seem too far away at all.
Yeah, no. Elon has said there's going to be an announcement soon. He's been saying that for quite a while now. So we always give him a bit more time. But the fact that it's like remotely near, like even like 2025, that sounds quite far away. But it's like time does go quite fast. That would be amazing to have it possible by then. Yeah, like the idea is that once you've uploaded your brain, you could have something analyze that, and potentially you could analyze everyone's brain, and you could figure out, oh, this bit of information corresponds to that brain region, this bit corresponds to that region, and then you could have stuff like you figure out, all right, well this bit of the brain is sexuality, this bit is intelligence, and you could literally just swap that. Yeah, you could get like a straight guy could get the sexuality of a gay guy,
okay,
and literally just swap, and it's just like insane that you could do that. And so yeah, what I've said is you can have the simple one, just like the copy paste, like hybridized brain, where say if we both uploaded our brains, like I could take your like curiosity and put that in my brain.
sure.
That's like a simple copy paste. You could also do it from like artificially averaging. So say if I wanted a more creative like mind, but not from a specific person, I could go into a database, say ask for creative mind, and then it'll process like a bunch of people's creativity,
So
and give me what it thinks is the best of that.
There'll be a list on the database of whose brain's been uploaded, and you can go, oh, look at
Yeah.
what I'm here. What at Einstein or something like that.
Yeah, it's like those old charts where it gave you like the score for each thing. Like we had it on like the Wii Sports, so it's like reaction time, and then it had a line coming out, and then speed, and a line coming out, all the stuff like that.
Sure.
Then the other thing, which I think is also interesting, because it's sort of in a way cheating, is how actually an AI hybrid brain. So if you have, say, to like a neural network or something, make intelligence, and then you put that in your brain, because once you do that, you're like, well, what am I? like what is me as a person? Like, you become less you, and you become something else, but it still feels like you.
Yeah.
In some sense.
So I guess would it be almost an extension of yourself into the web? So I guess it's like, so nowadays, if I wanted to go find out something, most people do what they always do, is go to Google on the phone, and they go find that information. But I guess if it's kind of like digitally interlaced with an AI, it perhaps was already found that information before you even thought you needed it, and it's already gone and found it's already run the search function in a way that's already found the actual data you want, the relevant data.
Yeah. But even stuff that's like, you wouldn't think AI would know anything about that. Like, say sexuality. Like, AI doesn't know what sexuality is. You wouldn't think AI can have sexual attraction. But if it looks at everyone's region which governs sexuality, it could sort of figure out what sexuality is, and then you could ask it, make me interested in blondes, or gingers, or just any type, and it theoretically could do that for you.
Filtering out on Pornhub, isn't it? It's like, I don't want to look at that type. I want to look at all this type. Or, like you said there, if you're sorting out, it's almost like running a minus symbol before a search string. I want to look for this stuff, but not that. It's incredible to think that has an idea for configuration. I like to hear you talking about like curing brain diseases. I mean, a lot of people. In fact, the very first episode I did about Curious World, in fact, I learned that my grandmother really suffered with dementia, and I wanted to learn how to prevent that from happening. How do I stave off what potentially is a genetic issue? So I spoke to a neurologist. I spoke to a person with nutrition about how to do the things I needed to make sure that doesn't happen. So when I read things about curing brain disease, and that kind of like it ticks a box in my mind about how do you think that would work?
Well, and simply put, you just get the say if it was the memory capability of someone, you get the memory capacity of a healthy person, and then just copy that into someone who has like dementia or Alzheimer's, who can't make like short-term memories. No. I don't know if it would work for long-term damage, but certainly short-term like problems. Literally just copy a healthy version, put that into the damaged patient, and then they would once again have the ability to like remember things.
Yeah, because you think about, obviously it's a degenerative disease, so you could use an earlier save state effectively. Perhaps when they were 30 or 35, whatever, and now they're at a certain point where they're 60, 65, and the brain's starting to deteriorate. So here's your capacity to remember things again. Well, we'll never have those diseases come along, because they can be artificially dealt with before they ever become a problem.
Or if you were like really like old when you had the upload process, you could use brain regions from like your kids or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that would probably be more likely to be like formatted correctly. I mean, I'm not sure how all of that would work, but you could do it, like, theoretically speaking, at least.
I was thinking about the idea of like translation, because I guess I saw Google's interesting real-time translator working on a conference not too long ago, and I thought that could be really useful. I guess we're just traveling the world. You have an earpiece in, and you have a microphone in, and it's translating in real time. I guess you literally are, if you are connected to a neural interface in some way, to a hive intelligence perhaps, or some kind of a interconnected web through your mind. You literally could have instantaneous translations. Language perhaps wouldn't even need to exist because you already know what it is that you're going to talk about.
Yeah, and like at that point, there's just not really any point in education. Like if someone makes a scientific discovery, they can just upload that to like the cloud collective, then everyone like downloads that information, and then everyone knows it.
That's a very
like, there's no need to like teach anything at all.
Well, that also poses the interesting view, say, proprietary versus open source, doesn't it? Because I guess if you could upload your brain, everyone else is doing the same thing. You're kind of almost self-criticizing all the other methods that are being looked at. So if you were to upload like a new study, as you say there, the peer research effectively could be done instantaneously, and everyone could go,
Yeah.
wait, that bit's wrong, that's correct, and it would almost self-fix itself.
Yeah, you have instantaneous fact checking essentially.
Yeah.
Then there's also the issue of, could you sell your brain, like in parts? If you thought you were really intelligent, could you say, all right, you can have that part of my brain for like $1,000 or something? You could like, you sell your creativity, you sell your sexuality, like all your experience. Like it's just this new way of like generating money that just you haven't thought of at all.
Well, the idea is I haven't been to say that quite recently. I reconnected with a friend I haven't spoken to in a very long time, and she's just been to Thailand, and I'm like, oh, I'd love to see some pictures of when you went. But like you said there's a very good example of, well, I instantly know what it's like. I've seen everything that could possibly be there. I could almost relive their experience through a form of a video.
Yeah.
But it's effectively is VR orientated. That's a
But even I think I said this in my hardware enhancement post. There's no like human like sensors. You have like 2 eyes, like a nose, a mouth, 2 ears, with that. But you could actually have like any camera array, and that if you formatted that correctly to be understood, that would be like, you could have 3D vision. You could have the like ultra zooming lenses that like these smartphones are having now. You could even have cameras that are for like ultraviolet, infrared sort of things.
It opens up a lot of possibility.
Yeah.
I also like how you were, as we started to talk, you were very stringent about how it could potentially destroy democracy, and how it would change. And you were very like, we need to make sure this is regulated. We need to make sure this is okay before we even go down this route.
Yeah, definitely.
And I liked how you incorporated that into your philosophy. But so is that so you don't want to see it rolled out unless it's had stringent ones?
Yeah. Well, I think either way, democracy is going to go away at some point. If that happens too soon, you'll get anarchy.
Yeah.
And there are multiple ways that this can happen. I've said multiple copies, which is where someone uploads their brain and it just makes various copies of that. They all think they're the same person trying to access the set, like a single resource, like bank information, someone's address, or something like that. No, brain hacking, that's a huge issue. If someone can just implant like ideas into someone's brain, like,
well,
not even
you've almost got a perfect
subversively.
assassin in some ways, haven't you?
Yeah. And then, but you might need to have a post-democratic era, which is what I said, where you either have you have a benevolent dictator, which is scary because if they have all the power, there's no technological reason why they don't just control everything. Or you have some sort of a system similar to democracy that ranks everyone by like their legitimacy in some sense. So if someone has made like 4 or 5 copies of himself, you only give each copy like a quarter or 1/5 of a vote or something. But that creates another huge problem that's easily like manipulated, because you can imagine like the worst case scenario where you could say, all right, black people only get 1% of the vote, which is just like absurd and insane.
Yeah.
But you could say, right, people who disagree with me on like even stupid things like football team, they're just not having a vote. They're not being able to choose who's in power. So I think at some point or another, there will be someone who comes along with a bad motive or something, and it could just take the entire system down, especially if there's not regulations.
Yeah, I guess I can see where you're coming from with that, because while a system could be okay, it can be overrun very quickly particularly if you can interact with everyone. Because I guess we've seen that. I don't want to be disrespectful to people who are Chinese, but I understand that they have their social structure out now, where there's social scoring, isn't it? I think that's what it's been called, as we found.
Yeah.
Where if you cross the road at the wrong place, you take a mark down on your score. You potentially can't travel on airfare if you come from a lower caste, if that's the right phrase. So if you come from a certain neighbourhood, you can't travel on certain trains, you can't travel on airports.
And that's like another episode of Black Mirror, Nosedive, where you literally have like a social media app that rates you, and then you'll have businesses that you'll have like businesses that say, all right, only 3-star and up people. So if you're like 2.9 star, you just can't get a coffee there or something.
Yeah, or you can't rent a car, or you can't. Once you need she can't attend the wedding of her best friend who was a 4.2.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, man, that's just like that whole rating system. A social rating given by everyone is just like scarily very, very here now. I'm sure we already do that.
I mean, it is literally here now. China.
I don't see it. How incorporated it is in, say, Western culture, but we have it in a kind of almost like not a benevolent way. It's kind of like you see the ratings of services, of businesses, or like TripAdvisor and stuff, or on Netflix videos, whether this has a 96% upvote, and that almost socially scores you. I can't watch this because it only had a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm never going to watch it. But it turns out it might actually be all right. Most people just downvoted it because they socially decided not to.
Yeah, I mean, take like The Last Jedi. Some people did love that film, but a lot of hardcore Star Wars fans hated it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you said, all right, well, a lot of people liked it, it's got high ratings, you might think it must be a brilliant film.
Yeah.
But there are, like, you might watch it in sense. Do
you think that perhaps there's almost like a new level of journalism that could come out of that? In the same way that you have people who do reviews, say at a newspaper or an online forum that has a method system, like Metacritic is a good example, where it's a combination of different outlets who do reviews, but there has to actually be content of why they've chosen 1 or 2 or 3-star or 5-star, whatever. There has to be a reason they must give that in a form of a lengthy review. I mean, it's almost like self-checking. All right, I understand that X amount of people have said this is a really bad movie. I can then go instantly check why. But I guess taking that system out into the real world, potentially other people, I can review this person, who's only got a 3-star rating as a person or as an entity.
Yeah, I mean, you could like have that for people, but I mean that just sounds like, to us, where that's not a system that we have in place, that just sounds like outrageous.
It does.
That someone could say, oh, we don't like that person, we're just gonna like negatively rate them. Because you could have like some controversial figure and they just get like massive like downvotes and all that. Or you could have someone who's convicted of a crime that they didn't commit, like their ratings would go massively down.
Yeah.
Based on false information.
The interesting like herding of people on like social media, what's like exactly the case. You see that they'll attack someone or attack a film or an idea, and they have no skin in the game. They're just doing it because it appears to make them more likable within the circle that they want to have. And as such, you don't see anything beyond your circle online. So,
yeah,
man, it leaves a bit of a sour taste in the mouth, doesn't it?
Just to bring some like positivity into this whole thing.
Let's flip that around. Let's make it positive. What positive things can be done with AI?
I made the post 7 reasons to upload your brain, and I'd just like to go through that quickly.
That'd be really good.
At number 7, I put sustainability and efficiency. This is for like the green people. Currently, we've got a massive like movement trying to get us to go to like solar panels, electric cars, batteries, all of that.
Yes.
But there is always going to be things that like humans will do that are going to like pollute, like cooking, meat, all of that.
Yep.
Like chemical processes. If you become a robot, you don't need a lot of resources. Like
Of course not. No, if you're for a robot, you don't. I guess your only requirement would be power and storage.
Yes, essentially, like power, and if you want to live as a robot, you need like the physical body. That's it. Like entire buildings that pollute, you just wouldn't need. You wouldn't need like sewage stations because you don't need to go to the toilet.
That's
You
right.
wouldn't need restaurants. You wouldn't need nearly as much waste management. Like stuff like people chucking their McDonald's cups into the side of the road, it just wouldn't happen. You wouldn't
No, it wouldn't happen.
need them. So sustainability would be like, I think that'd be the last big jump to sustainability, where we are completely like the minimal input required. What we've got here is hardware and software at number 6. Stuff like as humans, we can do stuff to improve ourselves. We can like go to the gym. We can do like stuff like RFID implants. But as a robot, that comes a lot easier. You just upgrade whatever limbs you have. I mean, you could live as a car, go a lot faster. So that's okay. Cameras, you have super zooming in cameras, wide cameras, cameras in other light spectrums, all of that. Software's a big thing. There are obviously the surface level stuff like e-commerce. Like e-commerce is something you could have as like a virtual reality. So if you were buying or augmented reality, like if you're buying like I've got here a Echo Dot Alexa device. I could like have a virtual Alexa device, have that in my room, see how it would respond with augmented reality, and then if I liked it enough, I could like purchase it, or could even get to the point where I don't need to purchase it, and the augmented version is good enough by itself.
Yeah, we noticed that it actually was there, and I guess we're using VR now. So I use VR quite a bit. Obviously, it tracks it really well. You know, your positions and locations. If it notices you've got a table, you know, you can obviously look around the table and it knows that it's physically there. Yeah, you can literally have a virtual device that's never there.
Yeah.
But you've purchased it like a digital purchase.
Well, at that point, you don't even you don't really need a house, essentially. You just have a space, like even like a storage container. Just in your mind, it's a nice cozy bedroom, or like a nice place you can sit down and watch like whatever film is on or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it can be all internal. You just upload yourself to the cloud and just not live in the physical world. Just live digitally. Then I've said gaming experience, which you touched on.
Yeah.
Fully simulated gaming with all senses if desired.
I guess like you made the mention here about Ready Player One's Oasis. I mean, that perhaps is the most visually and mental example perhaps that people can get right now. What that
yes, that's the closest in media that we have, I think. But like even Ready Player One, you have the guy Wade Watts. He puts on the VR headset, the gloves, and like the haptic suit and all that. There's still things he can't do that you can in a fully simulated reality. Like he can't physically fly. He can't feel temperature necessarily. He can't have like radar or sonar like programmed into his brain where he understands what that is. It would still be just like a display thing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're uploaded, you could play like an underwater game as a submarine and like feel like you are a submarine.
Yeah, I can see why. I can see what you mean by that. You can you already are the submarine because you'll have the sensory inputs. What would be the sonar being sent out.
Yeah, or you can like essentially place yourself in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like pour what the like physics would feel like in that, and experience that as though you were one of the characters. Like you could like become Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Thor, anyone, and feel like you are that character.
Yes, I'm watching a roller coaster of a movie, quite literally. I guess as these movies are made more and more in pure CG, not using any actors at all apart from their likenesses, there's no reason why, effectively, you can't just be a character on the front of a camera on the front of Thor's head and watch the entire movie as if it's a whole movie playing out around you.
Yeah, essentially. Then we've got super customization. That's another the online, like digital, like internal stuff. That's a given. Like in the Oasis and Ready Player One, where everyone has their own avatar. But you could also do that in the real world. Like in modern times, we have people. Like, I don't know how much of this you've seen, like people with like their bodies just covered with tattoos or makeup or like these like piercings like everywhere. They're still always limited to roughly a humanoid shape.
Yeah,
but yeah, like as we mentioned, you could become an Apache helicopter. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, or grow horns or a tail or have 4 arms like Goro from Mortal Kombat or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got interstellar expansion. This is more about like a societal benefit.
Yeah, I like this when I wrote it.
Yes. I don't know how much you follow SpaceX and all that.
Not as close perhaps as I should do.
Yeah, well, because they plan to go to like Mars in early to mid next decade, but that's quite hard to do for people because you need oxygen, you need the protection, you need the food. But if you're a digital being, you don't need the oxygen, you don't need the food. You probably still want radiation protection, but as long as you've got like some access to power and potentially an internet signal to like have a backup so you don't permanently die, you could essentially go anywhere.
Yeah, I think as we do, and I really hope we get out to space. I think as far as we know so far, we are the only intelligent beings in the universe, and I think we owe it to ourselves to actually achieve our dream. I mean, there's a kind of analogy I often give to people about how we've changed over the thousands and thousands of years. I mean, what motivated entire civilizations and people to build the grand monuments that they left for us? In what is the equivalent today? I think the equivalent today is to reach to the stars. I mean, we have to reach beyond our Earth because it is potentially. It almost feels like we're meant to. There's almost like this inkling that we should. Yeah. We always should get out there. Maybe we do need to have the technology to do that. We can't even get past like the Van Halen radiation belts, not without extreme damage to our human cells. But to have a synthetic go out there in some kind of shape, and perhaps have them controlled by a human here, and that can be then changed to a different pilot or a different controller.
Yeah,
that seems a very viable option.
We can send the probes pretty much no problem. They can like go right to the edges of the solar system because they don't require much. They just have to get energy from the sun and to transmit data back.
Yes.
But if that suddenly becomes us, then you don't like a lot of the mass that there is for life support and all that just goes away. It becomes a lot easier.
Absolutely, it gets past that technological boundary, doesn't it? Because it's like fuel, resources, food, air, oxygen. Don't have to take it if you're sending out, an AI or a synthetic human. But I guess they touch on that quite a bit in Aliens, isn't it? There's the is it David? Is it David? Alien, where he has an artificial life that goes with them to assist them, and it ends up being the one thing that betrays them, which is
Hal, isn't it?
Hal from I guess Hal is a fixed entity, isn't he? In 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
Right, and then number 2, I've said knowledge. The fact that if you like, as it is now, if you scroll like Twitter, people are quite slow at reading.
Yes.
Like computers process things very fast. Humans to read stuff, and especially to write stuff, is like a lot slower. But if you can like process stuff as fast as a computer, essentially you could just like download the internet. I know that sounds like insane, but like it could probably take you still quite a while. But you could know like all of human knowledge, and everyone could know that.
Yeah.
And there wouldn't be things like exploiting people's ignorance for your personal gain, because people go immediately, hang on a minute, that's not true. This is what's actually the case.
Yeah, it would bring a whole new level to again fact checking.
Yes.
Which I think we deserve ourselves to have that, certainly in journalism as well. Is to have important key information that actually is true. Particularly when you see perhaps the news skew it in a certain way for political favour, or because they're told to by a corporate sponsor. To have raw news and information, perhaps for some people that's perhaps a bit too much, but I think we owe it to ourselves to have facts on the ground.
Yeah. And then for me, the number one reason to upload your brain is literally just the immortality of it. Like, I don't want to die. I don't think many people actively want to die. I mean, obviously there are like suicide bombers and people like that like seek it out. But like to be able to experience all this time of human progression, I think that'd be amazing. Like to see us go from where we are now, where we're really inefficient, like everything's quite slow, to like millions of years in the future, where colonize galaxies, like potentially even found alien life, potentially even created alien.
Yeah. So, are we perhaps the first entity to actually create our own offspring that's actually not biologically part of our evolution? We've created something entirely from scratch. Because I think we have it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's probably the first we know of for sure.
Yeah, well, I guess we are. we can't ask any aliens and then double check and fact check that for us. Who knows? Perhaps that's what aliens actually are. They are just AIs being sent to us. I've heard people talk about these greys. Effectively, they're all emotionless and they have no ideas and thoughts, and they appear to be very limited in their interaction with people. If we sent ourselves into space, would we send something that doesn't have those things, other than perhaps just cameras and the remote ability to touch and to see things? I don't know. Maybe we are. Aliens do come here, but they're actually just the AIs. But maybe I'm thinking too much.
Yeah, I mean that's always been a problem with me in like pop culture films. Yeah. They've always got these advanced civilizations that are all still like their biological forms, only slightly modified.
Yeah.
Whereas I think realistically, when you get to about human civilization's about 12,000 years old, like modern technology.
Yeah.
I think human species is about like 40,000 years old or something. But I think once you get to like a certain age in the like a species like technological progression, they'll probably figure out, hang on, there's no reason to stay to biological carbon-based systems and just go to like digital, like immortal.
Yeah, I can see the progression where that's going to be the case when we're going to go. But I think maybe would people want to be deleted? Would they want to have an experiment, potentially like a built-in fail-safe? Is it should the I've uploaded myself to the AI, to the core, or to some kind of external agent. Would you want that to have a fail-safe that perhaps could then decide to go at some point, you know what, I'm going to turn myself off?
Yeah, I think you'd need that. I think there'd be a point where, for example, like one thing that people always say about immortality, they say that it's a common argument, probably out of ignorance, but they go, "Oh, you just get bored." I mean, I don't think you'd get bored for like a long time, but eventually technology would go to the point where it's at its maximum theoretical like limits, and by that point there's only so much you can do. Like colonize more planets, you can go to more places, but once you've discovered like there is you can discover, then you could go, well, what's the point? And I think if you have that option to say all right, this is enough. I've lived a long life, and I just want to like end it now, not experience anything more. And that would be a good option to have. Like not even you could have not even like complete shutdown. You could say like internally say like wake me up in a million years or something, and then like you could see how much things have changed since then. And if nothing has, you could say, all right, I'll end it now, or wake me up in 10 million years, 100 million years, a billion years. You could like wait right up to the end. You could pick and choose when you want to exist, which is insane to think about.
I guess on the scales of immortality, I mean that would be well past the star point of our Earth. You know, to look back at our own planet be destroyed in like 4 million years' time, and just to see, you know, the sun go supernova and actually watch the Earth get. I then know that we really are on our own after that point.
Yeah,
That's an incredible thought to have, isn't it? To look back at the Earth and go, everything we had was there, and we've managed to survive to this point, and now we're looking back and seeing it all end. That's quite a profound thought to have.
yeah, indeed, definitely.
And particularly, I guess if you wanted to survive beyond bodily death, I still wonder what people would do first. You know, would you almost have a wish list of things you want to do in your digital self that you couldn't do in your real self, or would it just amalgamate into the internet and just do its own thing? So would it lose personality?
I mean, potentially could. I mean, there's actually. I feel like a large proportion of like digital beings would go, like they'd experience the simulated reality worlds and go, this is so much more interesting. Why would I want to live in the real world and just do that? And then like you could, like even if you're like paralyzed, you could go into a simulated, like even now people who have like disabilities go into like VR and experience like skydiving and stuff.
Yeah.
I think you could have stuff similar to that.
So I guess that's perhaps the closest it is at the moment, isn't it? That you can, because I did wonder when we were talking earlier about like the end of life stuff. People who have disabilities, you know, who have potentially looking down at themselves with extra limbs they never saw themselves having, or they have an experience they physically can't do, like skydiving. To have that experience in a way that, you know, that transcends your physical capacity. Is that not already living in the cyber techno world as it is?
I mean, to some extent, yes. And there will always be things that we can't do in the real world just because of physics. Like we can't have like infinity stones in the real world, but in a simulated world, you can program that in.
Like reversing time and walking through, like playing like Half-Life or something, playing like a Portal rather than just walking through a portal into another one. I mean that leads. I guess. What's gaming your inspiration? Because you did touch on gaming quite a bit in your Generation Byte website. Are you a big gamer yourself?
No, I'm not really.
No.
But
you can see the potential.
I think when I saw Ready Player One, I was like, that's pretty cool stuff. Like the concept at least. I know the film writing could have improvements, but the concept is pretty interesting stuff. And then like when I've got these ideas about digital immortality, I'm like, this could actually be improved a lot. Like there's no reason to stop there.
So is that
although I'm not much of a gamer myself, that's something that I can see myself doing if it gets so good.
As I jump around and play around with the Infinity Stone or something, pretty awesome. So is that like an academic field you're going to be going into? Is that now where your education is going to lead you?
Well, personally, I think I'm going to go into engineering.
Okay.
I'm not interested in like, the biology aspect of it.
Okay.
I also think, and this is probably not going to likely to come to any like sort of fruition, but like I say a lot about the regulatory aspects. I would be at least interested in becoming like the politician who actually like saves democracy or something. Creates the regulation that is needed.
Well,
if no one else does it, then someone needs to do it.
And you're already making these thoughts already, obviously, on your website, Generation Byte now. So maybe that's actually where we should draw us to a close, actually, because I think that's quite a comfortable position now to say that we've kind of covered a wide range of spectrum of stuff. And the ideas, the potential, the dangers, the worries, the positives, the benefits, and again, looking at your future and what that's going to look like, man. So, Loui Jay Coleman, I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's certainly opened my possibility in my mind, and hopefully many other people
thank you
as well. But we're going to have to keep in contact, man. So, we'd love to see what it's like perhaps a year down the line to see where things have progressed and how much of this has come into fruition.
Yeah, okay. Well, to the audience, if you want to learn more, follow me on Twitter at Generation Byte or Instagram, also at Generation Byte. At the moment, I'm uploading weekly. Eventually, that will become more regular, more frequent, rather. And yeah, feel free to contact me on social media. And thanks a lot for having me.
No, I sort of wanted to talk with you, man. You really inspired me to get in touch with you. I was like, dude, this guy knows what he's talking about, and this is why I arranged to have this conversation. So I was the mind flowing, I think, and that's what I don't think people do very much anymore. It's partly the reason why I created this podcast, actually, is to allow people to a forum to have a free thought discussion as opposed to this is an interview. Let's talk about this. I never thought that works quite well, particularly when the conversation is such a diverse set of industries, technology, and I guess society. I think these conversations need to be had now, like you said. So democracy and inbuilt safeguards can be in place before these technologies come as standard. Yeah,
I mean, even as I'm writing it, I've had several mind blown sort of moments, like that configurable brain state. When I started Generation Byte, I hadn't thought about that. It's only as I was writing more and more, I was like, hang on, you could do that. And it's like, wow, that's amazing. That it could be a huge frontier.
Did you ever just stop and go, I have to contemplate what that looks like and then go back to writing?
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes write notes down on a little notebook just before I write the article. I was just writing down, wow, this could lead to this. This could lead to this. You could sell your brain. You could have AI become half AI, half human. I'm like, whoa.
Well, I think the trans athlete stuff. People who have cybernetic limbs and cybernetic arms, and then potentially having 4 arms and 4 legs. How will that affect what the Olympics looks like? I mean, these are all things we've got to talk about because they're gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because people will want to do that. I mean, you see people who are really interested in body dimorphism, where they're having tattoos or having interesting piercings. And I guess if you were looking at, some people would really take that to an extreme. That they add horns or something to their avatar, what they're looking like on the outside. And I think that could be a really interesting possibility for them to go and explore that. And then when I was reading it, I was going, imagine what the Minecraft community would do with this. Building stuff and selling stuff. Selling modifications online. And I can see that almost working as a whole economy for itself.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be getting rid of a lot of industry, like food, waste and all that.
Yeah.
But there's so much more you can do. That it's I've said this a lot of times in my posts, that the limit is only really your imagination, and that's insane. It's like a cheesy thing that your primary school teacher will tell you, but it's actually coming true.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd really recommend you putting this out as some kind of a presentation, perhaps, or actually giving this as a talk yourself. I don't think that's something you've ever thought about doing.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it. I don't really have a lot of time for school stuff.
I do, you're not now. Time just keeps running away from me. Every 5 minutes I'm trying to squeeze something out in because I just don't have enough of it.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to, if I had unlimited resources, I think animations on YouTube is where I'd like to go.
Yeah.
Because that's a bit I want to be the Kurzgesagt of digital immortality. I think that would be pretty cool.
Thank you very much for taking the time out to join me here today. I really do appreciate it. But if I could just ask one more thing of you, you could just press like, dislike, leave a comment, or press subscribe. You could do any on all of those things, but it allows me to know whether I'm producing the kind of content that you want to listen to. I do produce a variety of content, especially on YouTube and out into the world of social media. So please, if you would, thank you very much. I'm Kristian Lander. Until next time.